So for everybody who doesn't know the other lady on the screen with me, this is Alli Taylor with Alli Taylor Real Estate at Keller Williams. So Alli was on our small teams panel. And I'm going to kind of back up a little bit for those of you who weren't at the event and let her tell you a little bit about where she started, how long she's been in the business, and where she is now. So tell us, how long have you been in the business and what did you do before real estate?
Yeah, so I'm going into my 5th year in real estate. My whole background prior to real estate was in higher education. So I worked for my sorority's national headquarters for a year as a consultant. Nice. And then I worked at William and Mary for, I believe, five years. And then decided this is not what I want to do. Yeah. And I decided just to quit and jump 2 feet into real estate.
That's awesome. So you've been in for 5 years. You have a small team. Tell us what your team looks like and when did you start it?
Yep. So it's myself. I have a part-time admin, and then I have just a transaction basis TC. I hired Caroline in June of last year.
Nice. So you were telling us on the panel your reasonings for hiring someone and kind of explain to us what the reasons were that you were like, I have to hire somebody to help me. Because I completely resonated with this when you said it. And I was like, yes, that's why people do it.
Yeah. So when I hired her, I had just had my daughter, who, if you can hear footsteps in the background, that's her. And I felt like the level of service that I had promised my clients, I wasn't fulfilling. And everything that I was coming home and bringing home at the end of the day were things that were taking me away from my family, but were not worth it. It was like newsletters or sending this out or emailing this. It was just like, why am I spending so much time trying to do all of these things when somebody else could very easily and happily do this for me? So I started just kind of putting feelers out and ultimately decided that I needed to hire someone to take that off my plate so I can continue with that level of service that I had initially promised to my clients.
Right. So Caroline is a part-time assistant. Does she kind of work her own hours or do you have set hours for her? How does that work?
Yeah, so Caroline is kind of unique because she owns her own staging consulting business.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
That's such a good touch.
It's so wonderful. So she always has Mondays off, and then the rest of the week is kind of dependent based on her schedule. She has 3 kids, so it just depends on what she's juggling that week. But usually she averages like 20 to 30 hours a week.
Nice. So she kind of works around her other business, which when I heard you say that she has a staging business, I was like, that's so genius because you get the benefit of that too, I'm sure. Yeah. And you can offer that as more service to your clients and more value to your clients. So how do you guys, like as a small team, when you're just one other person, you're overwhelmed with buyers and sellers and all the things, doing all the sales work. How do you do you communicate with her every day? Is there like a weekly meeting that y'all have and say, hey, I need this stuff done this week, and she just rolls with it? Like, how do y'all, what's the systems there for communication and getting
things? It kind of depends on if there's something really big. Like when she first joined, I gave her kind of like, here's what I want you to do in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. I am very much like lead the horse to water. Yes. So I just gave it to her and was like, here, I need you to just do this. And I felt like that's how I gain confidence in a job, is just kind of figuring it out as I go. Mm-hmm. So if it's a project, then I give her like all the outlines and stuff at the beginning, and then I just let her run with it. If it's like right now, we're a little bit slower. So it's kind of, all right, let's figure out this week. We really want to focus on this. Let's focus on goal setting. So it just kind of depends on what the season of the business is. But I would say for the most part, I just kind of give it to her and then let her do it.
With it.
Yeah.
Cool. So in talking about like slower times, because I think we're all kind of in that arena at this moment, are you pretty much like, as the agent that's selling, are you the one that's like, okay, this is what the goal is going to be, and you're kind of leading that? Or do you guys collaboratively kind of work on, okay, I need you to do this, Alli, and I need you to do this, Caroline? Like, are you leading the charge, or is it more of a collaboration at this point?
Well, if those of you that are joining that were not at the panel, I did say that I'm kind of afraid of goals, because I get very comfortable with where I'm at, and it's just a very nice place to be when you know exactly what you need to do to bring in what you need. So thinking bigger is sometimes a difficult task for me. But in saying that, I would say that we both kind of come to the table with personal goals, professional goals. For me, I have a daughter, you know, my family is number one priority, and that is what runs the ship. So, you know, I'm always going to have a personal goal in line with a professional goal. One is not going to be, oh, I have to meet this many units, or I have to, you know, hit this volume. It's just not how I operate. So I want her to feel that as well, where she can have personal goals and professional goals, and we understand them and know them, and then we lead with them together.
That's really refreshing to hear. And you will go very far places with that mentality, because you're not all about like sales, 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 sales. It's about that, if balance exists, but like, what is your priority? And the priority is your family. And obviously this is what the vehicle that gets you to, you know, provide for your family and do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
So I love that you are very vulnerable about fear of growth, because there are a lot of people that
sometimes to a fault.
Well, no, I think it's good. I mean, my journey is like, I didn't want to be a team. I didn't even see beyond myself I just was like, just want to sell houses. Like, that's where I started. And then I was like, oh no, I'll build this team. And then you get into it and you're like, oh, that's what a team is, you know, and it's rewarding, but it's also brings its own challenges and work, you know, that is beyond like the time that you probably want to spend on it. So I like that you're like very aware of like the fear there. But you can, I guess what I'm trying to say is I've come to a place now where I'm very small and it still feels good. Like it feels actually better than being so big. But neither way it's wrong, you know?
Right.
And so,
well, and my kind of thought process through that whole thing is like, I'm 31 years old. Like my plan is to be in real estate as long as I can possibly physically be in real estate. So just because I don't want this huge team now doesn't mean I don't want it in the future. But my priority right now is spending as much time with my family as possible, and still having a great real estate business that can support that.
Yeah. How do you get your business mostly? Like, how did you 5 years ago, how have you built your business how have you done it?
All word of mouth. I am from Chesterfield, born and raised, and my parents both grew up in Lakeside. So we do have pretty strong roots here. But I just started messaging people on Facebook and that's how I got my first transaction. My business is 95% database and Sphere. So I focus a huge amount on that. So if you look at like my event calendar or how I do my lead generation, it's not just picking up a phone and calling random people. It's really diving into those relationships.
Right.
And that's like, I never want to go into a job where I feel like it's work and I don't enjoy it. And I hate picking up the phone and calling random people. So why would I want to do that every day when I can pick up the phone and call and talk to people that I love and, you know, want to have a relationship and friendship with. So that's always kind of been where I've spent the bulk of my time, is just pouring into those relationships. And then, you know, obviously if you're friends or, you know, you've had this kind of more deeper relationship with someone, then you want to continue to help them. And I think that goes both ways.
Yeah. So building a business for a lot of it. I mean, that's how I built my business too. I did start out on expireds, which was not fun, but I got to build relationships from those people. And then I was like, I'm out of expireds. That's how that happened for me. So what are some of the things that you do to love on your people, like when it's slow? So one of the things that I think a lot of people think right now is, yes, we have this great sphere of influence business that will always continue to give us business if we're treating them well and we're doing, you know, staying in front of them and giving them value and things like that. But in a market where maybe we've helped them, or they can't make sense of buying because of interest rates or prices or inflation or whatever it is, or make sense of selling because there's nothing to choose from. Like, how are you planning on, if people just stay put and they're still your sphere, but they still love you, they're just not doing anything, how are you planning on like still cultivating more?
Yeah. If you look at like our event calendar, it's all, there's a few big events, but most of them are just small little subsects.
Subsections, something.
Yeah, sure. Of my, I feed a lot into my past clients.
Mm-hmm.
So like last year, 25% of my business was just past clients. And that those are the people that I love on the most. There's a lot of overlap on who those people are. So like a lot of them are sorority sisters. A lot of them are people that I went to college with. Or, you know, they know people that I went to college with. So it's like, let's have a happy hour with those people, or let's get coffee with these people. So I think that's just an easy way. I'm also a huge note writer. I love handwritten notes. So that's just like obviously more passive than getting right in front of them. But I mean, I think everybody's talking about going after the people that have to move, like the divorce, the death, you know, everything that's the D's or whatever. So everybody knows somebody. It's just a matter of staying top of mind.
So because I've started doing this too, is still loving on my people, but telling my people that like, if you're not going to buy or sell, or somebody like your brother, sister, whatever, when someone does in your family, you know, pass away, or there's a divorce, heaven forbid, like any of those things, like I'm still a resource. So there's still a way to pour into them and let them know who else they can help you with. I had somebody reach out to me the other day. She was talking to a lady at work, and she's going through a divorce, and like the first person she thought of was me. And I was like, yes, that's what I wanted to train you into, because you're my sphere, like one of my A++ clients, and you're thinking about me in all the different situations as people are confiding in you, you know? And so that is a way to still pour in even when people are staying put. So I agree with you on that. So, tell me, what systems do you use? Are you pretty integrated into KW, or do you have any other systems outside of KW that you use and find fruitful?
This is the big 2023 goal.
Okay, good.
To like automate systems. Everything from sending out like review requests to everything in between. I do use KW systems for the most part, but it's a growing
challenges. Yes. Every system does, no matter what company you're with.
So I think I've accepted the fact that nothing is going to live in one place, but I need to automate the systems that I feel drive my business.
Yeah.
And so whether that be getting a better newsletter system or a better review system, those are the things that I'm really working on next year.
Nice. Do you send out newsletters every month?
Every quarter.
Okay.
Because they're usually a little bit more personal, and it's like a blog post, really.
Yeah. One of my favorite ideas that I haven't been able to wrap my head around is somebody sends out love letters. She calls them love letters. And it's like literally what is happening in her life, and what has happened in her life with her kids and her whatever, and what she likes and what she's listening to and all of these things. And I'm like, I actually read them because I'm like, I don't know this lady really that well, but I'm like, it has so much good things in it. It's like, I ordered a t-shirt from there once because she was like, this is my new favorite t-shirt. And I was like, yes, thank you. It's like influencing in newsletters. So that's awesome that you embrace that. Is there anything else that you would, I guess, give a new agent or an agent that's been in the business for 4 or 5, 6 years, and they're like, okay, I'm tired of like running the race by myself. I need help. What would be like the biggest piece of advice that you would give somebody that's like going to take the step of hiring someone either part-time, full-time, or anything to build a small team?
I would say take time with that hire. I talked about this on the panel, but KW has a huge training program when you're onboarding someone, and that I found was hugely important for me to get to know her on such a deeper level, to know what makes her tick, what she does like, what she doesn't like, what what she finds joy in every day when she is coming to work. And I can't tell you how many days I sat at an office job, like, why am I here? I'm just pushing somebody else's goals, and they don't care if I have my own. And getting to understand her and her goals and what motivates her was really important, and what I find to be really successful in our partnership together. So I would just say, really take time to get to know that person before you hire them.
Yeah. I know the KW model and use it as well. And it goes deep, like real deep. Yes. And one of my favorite things that I take away from it is how do you win with me and how do you lose with me? And so each person does it, you do it, and then they do it as well. And then, like, what are the little pet peeves? What are the little things that people don't understand? Like, I need you to close the loop when I communicate with you. Like we think sometimes it's a given, but unless you say no, like closing the loop is really important for me, then you know how to work together the best. So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on here. For everybody, again, this is Alli Taylor with Alli Taylor Real Estate at Keller Williams. Give her a follow. She has great marketing. I've watched your stuff and I'm like, yes, I always enjoy somebody that has a good logo, like good branding. It's awesome. So thank you for being a part of this. And if anybody has any questions for Alli, I'm sure she'd be happy to help you.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks, Alli. Talk to you soon.
Bye.